The roots of today's crisis trace back to Trump's second term, when he doubled down on a hardline Iran policy. He had already pulled the U.S. out of the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, calling it inadequate. Trump's maximum pressure campaign reimposed and expanded sanctions targeting Iran's oil, banks, and top officials. The goal: force Iran to accept a tougher deal covering missiles and regional proxies. Iran's economy collapsed, soaring inflation, job losses, and a plummeting currency. Tehran saw the U.S. withdrawal as betrayal, fueling defiance instead of compliance. Europe tried to salvage the deal, but U.S. financial dominance left Iran isolated. Diplomatic channels closed, replaced by suspicion and hostility. The world watched as tensions escalated, fearing the consequences of a deepening standoff. The stage was set for confrontation, with both sides digging in. The seeds of today's crisis were sown in these years of pressure and mistrust. The world braced for what would come next. Under crushing sanctions, Iran chose escalation over surrender. Tehran breached nuclear deal limits, enriching uranium to 60%, dangerously close to weapons grade. The IAEA raised alarms as inspectors faced new restrictions. The US and Israel saw a red line crossed, demanding Iran halt enrichment and dismantle advanced centrifuges. Iran refused, insisting its program was peaceful and demanding sanctions relief first. Both sides dug in. The US wanted nuclear concessions before lifting sanctions. Iran wanted relief before talks. The result was a deadlock, with rhetoric growing ever more heated. The world watched as the risk of miscalculation soared. The nuclear crisis deepened, with no diplomatic off-ramp in sight. Each move escalated the stakes, narrowing options for peace. The standoff became a dangerous game of brinkmanship. The threat of conflict loomed larger than ever. In summer 2025, diplomacy failed, and warplanes took flight. The US and Israel launched coordinated strikes on Iran's nuclear sites, aiming to cripple its program. The White House declared victory, claiming years of progress destroyed, but analysts doubted the damage was permanent. Iran's facilities were hardened and could be rebuilt. The strikes triggered regional backlash. Iran's proxies attacked US interests, and the world feared wider war. The military action solved nothing, only deepened the crisis. Washington realized force alone couldn't end the nuclear threat. The region teetered on the edge, with diplomacy suddenly back on the table. The strikes changed the conflict's character, not its course. After the strikes, both sides recognized the risks of endless conflict. Quiet talks began, with Oman mediating between wary US and Iranian delegations in Geneva. The US demanded deeper uranium cuts, tougher inspections, and limits on missiles and proxies. Iran, desperate for sanctions relief, resisted demands seen as threats to its sovereignty. Despite deep mistrust, the talks made progress. Both sides agreed on basic principles for a new deal. The breakthrough was fragile, but it offered hope after years of escalation. Diplomacy, not force, was back in play. The world watched, hoping for a path out of crisis. The Geneva talks marked a turning point, however uncertain. The future now hinged on whether words could succeed where bombs had failed. As diplomats negotiated, Iran erupted in protest over economic collapse and political repression. The regime cracked down, blaming foreign interference and growing more defensive at the talks. The US saw the unrest as proof its pressure was working and hinted at support for regime change. Meanwhile, Iran's missile program advanced, becoming a sticking point in negotiations. The US demanded limits. Iran refused, calling its arsenal essential for defense. Talks continued amid mutual suspicion, military buildups, and domestic turmoil. The region balanced on a knife's edge, diplomacy offering hope, but war always a threat. The outcome remains uncertain, shaped by protests, missiles, and fragile negotiations. The world waits to see if old enemies can break the cycle of confrontation. The stakes, the future of US-Iran relations, and the stability of the Middle East.